Right. Hello, everybody. So we're just going to give it about 30 seconds or so for a few people to log on and join us, and then we will get cracking. How's your week going, Rich?
Yeah, not too bad. So far, so good. I'm looking forward to the Christmas break now, I must say.
Yeah, got to be honest. I think like most, although I know a lot of agents stay open, we wearing agency hat now. We always close every year, and I'm very glad when I think most years I'm glad when we get to that bit. I think this year definitely even more so. I think definitely looking forward to that sort of 12-day switch off.
It's nice to have that window, isn't it, where you don't get hassled as well, because other times of the year you don't get that luxury, do you? It's always
exactly. You don't get that backlog, right? That backlog that when you usually go on holiday and you come back to that delightful list of tasks that's been like, oh, don't worry, Rich will deal with that when he gets back from holiday, and you're like, thanks. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so no, it is a nice break, and I think this year with everything we've all been through this year, I think we all deserve a nice little break. I know there'll be plenty of agents, particularly sales wise,
that
are probably blasting through the Christmas season, and I get that with the stamp duty holiday end date lingering in the background. I think make hay while the sun shines and all that. But
you just took the words out of my mouth, Christian. I was going to use the same phrase.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think we've waffled on enough to let people join us.
Sure.
So, afternoon, everyone. So for those of you who don't know, I am Christian. I'm one of the co-founders at The Depositary, and I'm joined today by Rich from Inventory Hive.
Yep, I'm the founder here at Inventory Hive. So we, as a platform, we've been going just over 4 years now. I know Christian, they're new on the scene, as it were. So yeah, and obviously, hopefully, we can showcase our marvelous integration and how it will save people lots and lots of time.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we talked about earlier, Rich, wasn't it? Was I think, and again, very much sort of wearing my agent hat as well. I think the last 5 or 10 years, I think agents have this sort of integration partnership. These lovely tag phrases have been wafted around. I think one correction I think we have to make is I think when as a supplier you talk to an agent and you talk about an integration, I think the assumption that all agents make is that you're talking about a CRM integration.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this. I think that is absolutely something that any digital product, really any service that's got any sort of digital interface, which should be every service, should obviously be looking to achieve that CRM integration. But I think what you and I both know is that whilst that's great to get to that point, it isn't always the most exciting. So, well, let me phrase that. Not the most exciting. You don't necessarily get the biggest results from a CRM integration.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, ultimately, what it's about, isn't it? It's about a time win, and I think, yes, of course, it's great to be able to pass through property address data and tenancy data from a CRM because it means the two are in sync with one another. But actually, the time saved from doing that isn't that huge. Like on Inventory Hive, as an example, we've got postcode lookup. So you can add a property on in probably less than 20 seconds if you're fast at typing. You can add a tenancy on in probably 30 seconds. So in under a minute, you've got your property and your tenancy on. Whereas, end-of-tenancy admin and passing information from a checkout report through into an end-of-tenancy platform like the Depositary, that's literally can be hours. Typing emails, repopulating information, making reference to tenancy agreements. It's a real time consuming process. And obviously that's why, as I stalked you in the early days when I knew when I knew the Depositary was going to be a thing. I thought, well, what a great concept. And obviously I'm really pleased that we've been able to, get this out there. And, obviously with the help of early adopters, mutual customers, we're able to make sure that we can refine that and listen and save time. That's hence the title of this webinar, isn't it? Show time who's boss. That was
I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. From from our side, we really looked at what are the benefits? And I think, you know, again, looking at it from an agent's perspective, I think we came into this and, you know, pre-launch and early days, it was like all about let's get CRM integrations as quick as we can.
Yeah.
But actually, when we started drilling down in it, you know, like you alluded to, you know, a CRM integration, whilst it removes that data duplication, and look, let's be honest, you know, it's never fun replicating a record into something else. But I mean, we reckon when we achieve those CRM integrations, and they will happen, you know, we've already got some that we're laying plans for next year.
Yeah.
We reckon on average that's probably going to save 3 to 4 minutes on a tenancy transaction. It's going to save 2 to 3 minutes setting a property, tenancy, etc. up, and then probably about a minute at the end reconciling the deposit funds. But then we look at an integration like yours, which we're about to show everyone, and you know, we reckon this is going to save 15 to 20 minutes per transaction. You know, and that's huge. 5 times that return, 4 to 5 times that return, and really thankless data entry, and not only does it remove that, it removes the human error. You know, this whole process where everybody wants everything to happen faster at the end of a tenancy. You know, all tenants are all they care about is when am I getting my money back, and can that be faster than you've just said?
Absolutely.
You know, anything like this. Definitely.
And one of the, you know, really positive things that I've been hearing from mutual clients as well is the fact that it, you know, Depositary offers that impartiality as well, because it is more autonomous and kind of removes that emotion. There's less, you know, picking up the phone, you know, playing email tennis, which is a nice unintended byproduct from what I've been hearing as well. So, so hopefully when we, you know, do this brief demo, because obviously we're not going, we didn't want it to be sort of online, you know, going through the motions really slowly. So we've tried to make this nice and snappy, haven't we, Christian?
No, exactly. I think, you know, what we talked about going into this is one thing that we did want to do was we did want to show everyone exactly what this means. I think there's a lot of, you know, touching on what we talked about at the start of this, there's a lot of cynicism by agents about, oh yeah, we've heard this before, automation and integration and streamlining. And, you know, there's been a lot of entities in varying areas, and not just on lettings, on sales as well, that have promised a lot and delivered a little. And I think, you know, I think there's an understandable cynicism in there. So look, guys, we've put together a 5-minute recording, which focuses almost solely on the process Rich and I are talking about. We've got a little lead in and a little sort of tail at the end, but really it's an end to end. Now, I think what's important to say in this is what we're going to show you guys is a real time recording. So you'll see at the point we get to a point where the inventory Hive report is submitted, and I think we've got I say a lag. It's not a lag. We've got a delay of 30 to 45 seconds, something like that, between the report being submitted and it being captured in our system. So in the demo, you're going to see that soon, and we'll have that little thing. But we've kept that in because although it's a recording, we want you guys to see real live what it's like. Now, also, just to say, guys, we've got some comments coming in here. Hi, Deb. Hi, Robert. Do please post any questions in the comment section. What we'll do is, unless it's something glaringly obvious that we've missed out, Rich and I will circle back around to those questions at the end and go through any questions you might have. But please do chuck any questions you have in the comments. And like I said, we'll circle back to those. We'll share them on the screen so people can see what people are asking. But without further ado, let's share the screen. Let's get this over to here. Fab. I'm just going to jump in there and press play. In fact, actually, I think, Rich, what we'll do, we'll go full screen, because that gives everyone the opportunity to see it really well. Let me jump over to there and press play. We'll come back. So, right, just to explain to everyone what they're looking at. So this is in our platform, the depository. This is a tenancy dashboard. So once a tenant has been served notice, this is what an agent and landlord and tenant sees about the progression of their tenancy. So you've got a timeline from the inventory, which is the booking of your checkout, through to refund. The checkout's been scheduled, the cleaning things have been done, and we're now on the day of the checkout. So we've now hopped across to the Inventory Hive platform. This has generally been prepared. We're just going to I'm just quickly waltzing through a report here to show you what's been put in. So we've put a couple of issues into this report. As you can see, there's a filthy oven in there. Now, a couple of things that are critical. You will need to flag within Inventory Hive the liability as the tenant for it to be imported to us. And then you've got your depository integration at the bottom. As you can see just above ours, there's also the fixed flow integration. So not only can you send stuff from Inventory Hive to us, but you can push the resolution into your workflow and fixed flow. Utilities have also already been put in here. I'm not going to show you. And this is a brief summary report. So just scrolling through here, we'll just quickly highlight the details that have been captured, the new meter readings, and we've got the oven and the overgrown garden in there. You can make that report look really nice. I haven't pulled in a property image and a logo. You can do all that to make it look really sexy and comprehensive. Apologies to Inventory Hive that I didn't do those couple of bits for this demo just to get it looking really good. So if you imagine your inventory clerk, whether that's someone you use in-house or a third party that uses this software, they've now been to that property, they've done that checkout, and as they've left the property, they've clicked submit report. So this is what I was touching on earlier, saying, you can see me refreshing the page in the recording here. And this is just to be totally transparent on what this time frame is. Now, for most agents, you have a third-party inventory clerk go down, they'll often, here we go. So that is it. That's it pulled through. What was that? All of about 30 seconds, if that, for it to pull through. And so what we're now seeing in the platform, I'm going to refresh the screen one more time. What you'll see now is it's leapt ahead 4 steps. So the platform has imported the checkout report, and those are all clickable documents that people can click on and see. By capturing that report in our system has distributed that to all parties. So you don't need to send it out to your tenants and landlords. Our system does that. The end date's been verified by the checkout. The meter readings have been captured. So here's the readings, the meter numbers, and the photos. Now, you can use those yourself. If you take advantage, we've got an existing utility integration with Please Connect Me. And the moment that data is captured by us, it's sent off. And here we are. Here are those 2 issues in our deduction stage. So in our deduction stage, you've got everything imported in there. So the deduction type, the name, if the amount was input in Inventory Hive, it's there. If not, you can put it in here or update it. And it pulls through reference points and description. You can add additional information. You can add a tenancy clause. I've just uploaded an invoice on there. So, you can add extra evidence that doesn't sit within Inventory Hive. But the point is all of that is pulled across. You don't need to go through that list and think, what do I put across? What do I don't? And then those are 2 things. Now, what I've also said is, on top of that, you might have rent arrears. So you've got the 2 things that have been pulled across from Inventory Hive, but we're also going to say, yeah, there's rent arrears on that account amounting to £550. And there's a very basic description by me with a nice typo, and you reference a clause. You could upload a tenancy account statement as proof of that. And so, let's say those are your 3 deductions, and you're now going to send that for a sign off with your landlord, because again, this is all part of the process. Before going to tenants, you've got to capture your landlord sign off. Now, what we do say to agents is at that point, you can jump on a phone. You can jump on a phone with your landlord, talk them through, and at that approval stage, just click skip landlord because you've done it verbally and off you go. But otherwise, it all happens in the system. So this is the email your landlord will receive saying your agents reviewed the documents. These are their proposed deductions. And so your landlord will now log in and they will see there are 3 items now awaiting their approval, and they've got 3 choices on each one: approve, edit, or delete. So they can edit it if they want to change the amount, or maybe they're not fussed. Maybe it's a broken lamp and they're not bothered about replacing it. But once they're ready, they sign off on the deductions, they approve the deductions and sign off, and that captures everything. And then that starts the tenant negotiation process. So that now instantly signs it off within the system, distributes that off to the tenants, and now the tenants will get a very similar alert. That's the end of the video demo, so we'll come back to our beautiful faces, Rich. And then that now leads into your tenant negotiation phase. Much like the email the landlord get, the tenants will now get an email saying, your landlord and agent have reviewed the document. Itemized in that initial email for tenants are the breakdown. So it would say oven 120, garden 240, rent arrears 550. So before they even click on the link, they know what they're looking at. But again, they click on that, they go in the system, and as you were talking about earlier, Rich, it's all very fact-based. So there was a couple of things we wanted to get away from. One thing we definitely wanted to get away from is that slightly patronizing email that landlords and or agents, and I'll be guilty, I readily admit I'm guilty of saying that myself, of being like, oh, it was so disappointing to see how you returned the property, or, something of that ilk. And I think whenever you start a conversation like that with a tenant, right from the offset, you're already dialing up that whole, oh, just shut up and give me my money back sort of thing. I'm not here to be lectured, Dad. I just want to know what I'm liable for. So we've removed all that sort of opinion around it, and it is, like you said, as we touched on it, very, very fact-based. So they go in, they're presented with those three things with really comprehensive documentation. And we pulled some stats out of our system the other day. We've now done just over 2,000 tenancies through the platform this year. Of those, just over 70% of all deductions proposed within our platform are agreed by the tenants with no negotiation whatsoever. So over 2/3 of all deductions straight away, because very simply, it's very hard to argue when you're presented with, here's the check-in report showing it was perfect when you moved in. Here's the checkout report showing it's filthy. Here's the tenancy agreement with the clause relevant to what you should have done. And here's the invoice for putting that thing right. And when you present it in that really clean, fact-based thing, with your report to back that up, with the evidence pulled through, it's very difficult for a tenant to turn around and go, well, I don't agree. Yeah. And it's like, well, okay, why don't you agree? You're going to have to do better than that, because we've given you several pieces of information and evidence that show this is a legitimate and substantiated claim.
And this is, for the exact reason, I suppose, what the depository does really well is it handles that sort of end of tenancy process really well. Inventory Hive was born out of me having a bad experience in that rental market, and essentially not having the inventory was on the back of a fag packet, more or less. There was no means in which to engage with it. I wasn't encouraged to engage with it. There wasn't any photos in there, and I know that generally the industry's come on since then. But for us, at Inventory Hive, the key has always been to actively engage that tenant at the beginning of the process. So, we give them the opportunity to confirm receipt and then take and add photos and comments. They can't disagree with something on an inventory without adding a photo. So you end up with that sort of really objective engagement at the beginning. So, the comment of, oh, it was like that when I moved in, is really difficult to say. If when they moved in, say there was a little mark in the corner of the carpet, but then they move out and there's a little mark and a great big iron burn in the middle. If they fed back the mark at the beginning, then you're not going to get that. And it's amazing, really. A lot of, I think over the last sort of 2 years, we've really noticed that agents, clerks really respect and and appreciate that engagement. But where we were a couple of years ago, agents would say to us, why would you want the tenant to feed back on the inventory at the beginning? Purely because admin wise, it was such a headache to, audit trail, update the copies, make sure everybody had a signed version of it. And that's where, doing things paperlessly, and especially on the back of the tenant fee ban, you don't really want to be doing attended check-ins. Tenants don't want to be sat with a removal van waiting outside, going around the house looking at skirting boards. They want to be able to look at that in a convenient way, So that's kind of, I suppose, the beginning and the end, having that clear sort of, audit trailed feedback is key, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, look, for any agent who hasn't done your guys' little workflow demo, I was blown away with that a few months ago when you pinged that over and we had a little look, and you see that whole agent, landlord, tenant journey on compiling a report and sign-offs, and how simple, how intrinsic, all that data capture automated and the timelines with it. Just really nice and simple. And, and for it to be robust, for your report, for your inventory and check-in to stand up at checkout, you've got to allow time for the tenants to review that. I mean, I've been renting for 22, 23 years now in London. Horrendous when I think about what I've spent in that time. But, I remember vividly, not the place I live in now, the place I moved into before in Enfield. It was like a 4-bedroom house, 3-story, big property. Not saying that to show off. And you know, I remember the letting agent being there, and she had this inventory which was about 2 or 3 pages long. And I've never felt so pressured to sign. I mean, literally, she was like whipping me through this property. Like, yeah, living room's fine, right? Kitchen room's fine, right? We got about halfway through the property, and I was like, look, unless you want to spend the next 3 hours with me, because there was a lot of maintenance for that property, and like a string of stuff the landlord had agreed to do before we moved in, which hadn't been done. I was like, unless you're planning on spending half a day with me here, you might want to leave that report, because I ain't signing that in the next like 20 minutes. And yeah, you know, it's absolutely fair. And I think what's really important about that, Rich, is, you know, talking about partnerships and collaborations. I think what's important to point out here is that you and I aren't just saying this in some sort of echo chamber. This isn't us just beating our chest and saying, oh, we're championing, you know, how things being done best. You know, that's why our joint partnerships with the TDS is so critical, because this all feeds back into one another. It's all about working alongside a scheme like the TDS to work alongside, you know, what their expectations are, right or wrong, in terms of evidence and everything else. You know, what needs to happen in terms of those things, and making sure that in the rare occasion that a tenancy does end in a dispute, you know, landlords and agents using our products can go into those situations with a relative sense of confidence that, you know, they've got all the evidence there needed to substantiate their claim. Now, they might not get what they're asking for, as you and I both know, you know, and as we all know, look, there's the don't ask, don't get. I think that works on all sides of the equation. I think there are some that definitely dial that up a little bit past opportunism. But yeah, look, don't ask, don't get. But that is what it is. But, you know, like I said, us both working together, but in collaboration with TDS, really forms that really strong sort of triangular partnership that, you know, takes you through to that whole journey, to that end result of a dispute adjudication.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's just about being fair, isn't it? Fair and transparent for tenants, you know, for landlords and for agents, and, you know, harnessing that relationship, really. And I think, you know, particularly over the last sort of, you know, this year is a really prime example, isn't it? You know, it's not, you know, doing things paperlessly and remotely has kind of shown us that actually tech doesn't make you less personable. Perhaps allows you to, you know, to focus on the bits that you do well, doesn't it? And, you know, maybe that will accelerate things a little bit with the way the world's been.
Absolutely. You know, as I touched on when we were going through the demo, you know, I'm a big advocate of bringing tech in, but making sure you keep that personal touch. So like I said, we've got that ability for landlords to sign off deductions in the platform, but we've been saying to a lot of our agents, especially once they plug in your integration, use that time saving to deliver that human experience, because you're going to be saving 15 to 20 minutes a transaction. So why not reinvest 5 minutes of that to jump on a phone with your landlord, hold their hand through that process a little bit, make them feel really listened to, validated, drop those truth bombs, share that knowledge that justifies your fee and your value, you know, explain to them why they're being unreasonable about a deduction, or why you think they can ask a bit more, or, you know, whatever that is. But keep those little human elements in there, but in the background, let the tech just get rid of all the messy stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Remove the room for error, or, you know, it's that thing, isn't it? You know, I suppose the reality of end of tenancy is that, you know, agents, landlords, in some cases, will have to block out a whole afternoon to sit there and go through the admin of it. You know, and obviously that's what we're you know, that's what you guys as a platform over at the depository are doing, and obviously combined, hopefully, you know, we can make that even more streamlined. You know, but so yeah.
So look, I think we've covered all we need to say there. So look, if you work with either of us already, Depository or Inventory Hive, and you want to have a look at the other product, reach out to either of us directly, or reach out to your current account manager and have a chat with us, and we'll make an intro the other side to have a look at the product. If you're a TDS agent, or you're thinking about migrating to TDS and you're not using either of us yet, again, contact us through TDS, reach out to one of us. We can set up a joint demo or an individual demo, whatever works. This video will be available to watch back after the live event, and Rich and I will be checking in on this video at regular occasions. So do please get on here. If you want to post some comments or questions, we'll be checking in to answer those. Get in touch with us direct. I think Inventory Hive and us, it's very, very simple, online demos, which have become the norm for this year. But I think Rich and I were very much geared for that pre-pandemic. This was always going to be our approach to things. So, we can very easily set you up with a easy online demo, and then if you want to go ahead, setting up an account is very quick and straightforward. So really, that was it. Just say, Rich, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, likewise, mate. Thank you very much.
Hopefully that was something fun and exciting for agents to see. And look, if you guys want to transform your workflow in your end of tenancy process, be that inventories or the general process or that winning all powerful combination, then get in touch via our websites, via our social media, any which way, and we'll hopefully help you guys out.
Superb.
Guys, thank you, everyone. Have a great day
mate.
and have a good week. All right, take care, guys. See you, Rich.
See you, mate. Bye.